Containment episode 10, Nothing Gold Can Stay. So just to start things off, I had to go back to watch my last review because I had to make sure what prediction I had as far as Katie living or dying in this episode. And I was wrong. My ultimate guess was that she would actually end up surviving just because it's sort of a normal TV thing. Like, oh, there's no evidence. It would take months to do it. So, of course, everything points to she's going to die. And, I was like, well, it's TV. So maybe they'll do the generic thing and she'll actually end up living. And, at the last minute they'll figure something extra out and it'll end up saving her. And that doesn't end up happening in this episode. At least it doesn't seem that way. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it looked like a pretty, pretty solid, death scene. But they might do something in the next one. They could, but I don't know. I mean, it seemed fairly definitive to me. For a split second, I thought they were doing like the Ex Machina sort of thing, where Jake came in to get Katie, and I thought he was going to take her to Cannerts because they were talking like the whole episode, like, oh, I'm trying to figure out this experiment, and I need a live subject to do it. And so I thought he was going to, take Katie, which I don't know why they didn't. I forgot what reason he gave, but I'm like, she's kind of dying. They might as well do something, just to see at least. But it seemed like a fairly definitive ending to me. They could, pull a little trick on this, and it's like, nope, totally took her to the little experiment. Somehow it saved her, even though she's like at the point of hemorrhaging and stuff. So I assume that she is, officially gone. But it was a crazy episode, going through just her getting sicker and sicker and her having like these crazy moments, especially that dream sequence when she got up and then she's like scratching her arm and stuff, which, as soon as she did, I was like, oh, if she does that, she's going to start like scratching her skin off, which was kind of gross. And then she actually like peeled that piece off and she's freaking out and just like, and just pulling off a bunch of skin. I was like, that is gross. And then I knew she was dreaming when she went to the window and the person couldn't hear her, because I'm like, no one else is banging on the window. Like, I know that suit is not keeping them from hearing everything. So I knew she was dreaming when that happened. And then, I forgot her son's name, but he comes running in, and I like the way they did it. It was actually funny when it happened, because he just slipped and just slid, and it's just like, oh, all this blood is all over me. I was like, she's definitely dreaming right now. But it was crazy, just going through that, and, Jake's like, things are going to be, trying to be confident and, upbeat about stuff and trying to, kind of make it work. But as they go through the episode, they have to figure out, how things are going to play out, and Katie eventually feels like she needs to say her goodbyes. While on the other side of things, we have Leo and Lex. Well, mostly Lex, really, because Leo kind of took off in this episode. But then we find out at the end, he, went into hiding because he knows things are, like, really, really bad. But Lex has to go through this issue, which, of course, we find out that Lommers doesn't decide to resign or tell the truth, really. She puts all of it on Cannerts, and it's like, yep, he is such a bad person. I'm sorry to everybody. This guy sucks. And so, of course, she, saves herself, which makes perfect sense. And Lex has to go through trying to really figure out what he's going to do next. And he can't go to his chief, who, once again, kind of reverts back to how he was before. Like, yep, you need to just fall in line. So he kind of gave up super quick. And, of course, Leo seemingly gave up really fast, too. Like, man, she knows everything that we know. This is, done. Like, we played our hand, and, she still won. So he's like, I'm out, and he takes off and disappears from his home, and I was like, holy crap, like, he's gone. And then, Lex kind of brings it up with his dad, who, his dad was in this episode quite a bit, and, he brings it up, like, I don't really think, Leo actually left. So that I thought was interesting. It's like, oh, maybe he was kidnapped or something. But then, of course, like, as he's saying that stuff, the pizza delivery guy comes in. It's like, it's paid for by a major mouthpiece. It's like, all right, so he really, really went into hiding, and he gives them. Has like a letter on there, and he has a key on there as well. So I don't know what that's really going to be leading to, but I'm definitely curious about it because it's got to be something. If he went into hiding to figure this stuff out, it's got to be the next big step to prove that it was Lommers. So I'm not sure what that key is going to reveal, but I'm excited to see it for sure. And then the other story that we have on the inside, we kind of have a bit of Birdie in this episode, which I mentioned when they did the day 12 thing, or day 12 or 13. when he got knocked down, I was like, it's gonna take him a while to get home, and it took him forever. Apparently, it took him a couple of days because he was like, when they first show him in this episode, he's sitting in that car and he wakes up because it starts raining inside, and they show his leg. I thought he was gonna die in this episode, honestly, because his leg it was so messed up because it was like infected because he broke it and he was just trapped. So it's like swelling up like crazy, and of course he can't really walk on it. It's like basically killing him every step he takes. But he runs into Jana, and she actually gives him the card, and so that helps him eventually get home by the end of the episode, which was good. And Jana has to deal with trying to escape the cordon because she runs into Mies, and he's like, "Hey, 5,000 ahead, and I can get you out." So now she and Simon have to figure out what they're gonna do because they have enough money for the two of them, but then they'd be leaving everyone else behind. So they've got technically 4 people now, including the baby, that they'd be leaving behind, in this mess. So they have to figure out what they're gonna do, and it seems like they decide to go with Mies based on the promo, because Mies is like, "Oh, I don't like his attitude. He's not coming with me." So it seems like they do decide to take off, but of course we have 2 more episodes, so something either goes wrong, or they decide to change at the last minute or something. So we kind of just have to wait and see how all that's gonna play out. But I'm excited for the next one. I mean, this is a sad ending, and like I said, immediately I thought that she would end up being saved at the last minute just because it's TV. I always assume that, but I did mention in my last review, like, it is also a miniseries, and for whatever reason, miniseries take more risks, it seems, than normal shows do, and plus that's a part of the reason why is because they know they aren't going to go on for like 3 or 4 seasons. It's meant to just be this one thing, and then it's done, and that just made a lot of sense to me, and it was like, it would make sense if she died, but I still thought it was going to be kind of a ex machina, sort of generic TV sort of trope. It was like, oh, you've been saved at the last second, but that does not seem to be the case in this episode. Katie, as far as I'm concerned, Katie's officially dead. They, like I said, they could pull some crazy stuff where it's like, oh, she's hemorrhaging, and then, I don't know, stab her in the neck with something, and it keeps her alive for like an extra hour, and then they somehow save her life there. They could, but I just don't feel like they're going to end up doing that. Once again, I could be wrong. Who knows? But definitely a crazy ending. I mean, we have characters that are trying to get out. They'd be leaving people behind. We have Lex getting this clue from Leo, who's like disappeared. Lommers is like, towering over them now with the ultimate power and everything. So there's just a lot of craziness going on. Everything's kind of just bad at this point. Like, everything just kind of sucks for Lex, and then on the inside things aren't exactly fantastic. It's super somber. People are dying. Brady finally made it home, but he still has a really messed up leg, and his wife seems to be doing fine with the giant cut she had on her leg, because I thought she would end up getting infected even if she did stay at home. Just the fact that it was such a giant cut, I thought something could easily go wrong, but they don't seem to be going that route with her character. But his leg is definitely swollen up, and I'm pretty sure your leg swells up. I mean, it does just from, being hit super hard, but I'm pretty sure that's going to end up being infected. Like, he's just been sitting around and walking on his broken leg until he got, like, the 2 little planks. So, I don't know what we'll see from him in the last 2 episodes and how that's going to play out, but there's just a lot of craziness there. So, I'm looking forward to the next one. Sucks that we lost a character, for sure. As far as I'm concerned, at least, it certainly seemed that way. I don't know if they'll do, like, the crazy, she died in this one, but actually she didn't die, and then, they saved her in the next one, but we'll have to wait and see. I kind of hope they don't do that. Technically, it wouldn't cheapen it, not really, but it does kind of negate, the emotions of losing a character. Not really. I guess technically it doesn't. You still feel like you lost a character, and then if they end up, saying, like, oh, she didn't actually die, and they save her, it would still be cool. It's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know. Sometimes, when they do it in the middle where it's like they look like they died but then they actually didn't, that kind of makes it worse than just sticking to one side. It feels like a cop out, but obviously it's not like they're just doing it right now. They clearly had the whole series done a while back, so they had it all set out ahead of time. But I am looking forward to what we get from the next episode. Of course, definitely want to know what you guys thought about this one, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. Of course, I have to ask how you guys feel about losing Katie in this episode? Are you, happy? Are you sad? How is that going to change? We only have 2 more episodes to go, and of course, the 2 characters that are affected by this the most are going to be Jake and Quentin. Glad I remember his name. Um, so of course they're like, 1 and 2 as far as being affected by this death, and I just don't know how that's going to play out. I mean, it's not like anything can really happen outside of Jake takes care of him until the cordon is done, and then it's like, all right, go off to your family, and Jake's just left alone. Like, I can't even look after her son like I want to, and I like, he likes the kid, and Quentin of course likes him, but he's not his family, and they would just be like torn apart as soon as they got out of there. So I don't know how they're gonna do that with these next 2 episodes, but I am curious to see how things play out. I'm curious to see what they do with Cannerts, because now that all the blame has been put on him, we kind of just need to see where that goes, like if it gets fixed. And I'm pretty sure that was Lommers' husband that was talking to Candace, like, oh, we'll fix this, and it'll be fine. And I'm assuming that he was on her side, because he's like, like, oh, you'll feel better after the press conference and everything, and so he was probably just lying to Cannerts. I wasn't paying that much attention, so it may have been a different person, but I'm pretty sure it was her husband. Um, so I'm really curious how that's going to work out with him, and then, like I said, we have to see what this key leads to that Leo left behind for Lex. So looking forward to that as well. But like I said, definitely want to know how you guys feel about Katie's death and what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.